Part 18. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 171. MRSG and County Master Hui introduced their relationship to Zhang Pingting and Wen Yu. Pingting's second aunt also came, spoke to MRS Wen politely, and introduced her friends to her. After the shock just now, the rest is all good. Old MRS Wen was smiling from the bottom of her heart when she was among the ladies. By the time we were done eating, drinking, and socializing, when we came out of the East Palace, the people outside had almost left. Wen Qian waited a little anxiously next to the carriage. "Mother, why does it take so long?" Old MRS Wen was mysterious. "Let's talk about it when we get home." After getting in the car, the old lady asked Wen Yu, "Where is your maid? She didn't see Laba." Afraid that MRSG will be worried, my granddaughter asked Laba to tell her what happened just now. Laba will go back by himself later. "Wen Yu, what happened to the female official today? Tell me carefully." As soon as she sat down, MRS Wen asked. Wen Yu said, "It seems that someone has taken a fancy to Mr. Chi Wu and wants to cause trouble for me. Maybe he is familiar with the female official, and he wants the female official to lead me to make a fool of myself. I knew it as soon as I came out, so I refused to leave again." The female officer worked in private, feeling guilty and not daring to do anything to me. Later, when I met someone close to the crown princess, the female officer was afraid that she would be discovered, so she let me go. As soon as I turned around, I met the girl next to Pingting. She recognized me and took me to see Pingting. There was nothing wrong with this. Old MRS Wen believed it. "Do you know who did it?" "Have no idea. I am afraid that those who can control female officials are not ordinary people. Mr. Chi Wu is so outstanding that it is easy to recruit people. But be careful. Look at what happened to the eldest wife of the prince consort today. There is something fishy about this matter. What woman is so bold as to act recklessly in the East Palace? Most of it is calculated by people. If something like this happens to you, our family won't be like a prince-in-law. That's it. From now on, if there's no big deal, don't go out. It'll be nice to wait until we get married." "Yes," Wen Yu responded. "Zhang Pingting, your life is so good. Your future will be great. Her intimacy with you is based on the friendship she had when she was a child. But if you continue to date, you have to be sincere and sincere. Looking back, your grandmother and your father will let's discuss it. The old lady knows that the emperor is old and the prince's succession to the throne is not far away. The prince has only one grandson. In the future, if Pingting doesn't become a queen, she can still make her father and son a noble concubine. If the Wen family can have this relationship, it will be different." Wen Yu responded again. I thought to myself, this old lady is not where she is today for nothing. She has a lot of brains and a very good idea. Arrived home, Wen Qian personally helped the old lady get out of the car. In the back hall, the family was waiting neatly, and they all stood up when they saw the old lady coming in. The old lady told everyone the great news without even changing her outer clothes. Wen Feng was the first to explode. He recognized Zhang Pingting. "Mother, are you telling the truth? Is it really that fat girl from the general's family?" "Second brother, what are you talking about? What kind of tone is this?" the old lady scolded him. "Young girl is your empress, your mother and I stand there respectfully when we see you, watch your mouth." Wen Qian was also a little surprised. The return of Master Zhang and his son won the respect of the emperor. We met twice, but they were in a hurry and didn't say much. "My son really doesn't know about Miss Zhang." Old MRS Wen said, "How lucky she is. I have watched her grow up. When she was a child, she was very close to us. Today, she is still the eldest maid next to the empress, who recognizes you. When the empress treats you, she just says like my own sister. Looking at Wen Yu's eyes again, he was full of joy. Wen Yu, are you happy to meet the general? Wen Yu smiled secretly, the old lady was really excited today. He nodded and replied, Grandma, you is really happy. I went up and hugged her and cried, but she even disliked her. She said Yor was still rough and even rubbed her pink on her clothes. Old Mrs. Wen pointed at Wen and scolded her, but with a doting tone, you. This is the friendship of spanking a child. Otherwise, how rude is it? Yuanji's heart sank and her eyes were fixed as she looked at Wen Yu. Wen Yu continued, of course I understand now that what my grandmother said is right, but at that time, how could you have thought of it? Just like when she saw her relatives, she told her about a Fang when she came up, but she also made her cry. Already? You girl. Why are you talking about this in the new year? If this were done in front of the crown princess, it would be enough to punish you. From now on, there will be many opportunities to meet. Besides, this kind of thing. The old man, my wife is secretly wondering, what can I say? Grandma, the queen is praising Yor. She said that Yor is kind and righteous, and that she is indeed her good sister. She also said that she wanted Lanzhou to move in with her family. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Wen's attitude changed again, and she clasped her hands together. Your Majesty, you are kind. She secretly made up her mind, she can't treat Wen Yu the same as before. She must be given some money to have a relationship with the general. When she gets married, the dowry must also satisfy her. Find some time to discuss it with your son. The family was talking when a letter came on the door. Something has been sent from the East Palace. The Wen family were shocked again. Wen Qian took the man forward and welcomed the person in. The old lady quickly led the women to get ready. This time, there are too much regulatory things, and the palace girl chew around her mother, and a large car. The prince heard what his grandson said about Wen Yu, but he didn't say anything. Instruct the grandson to take things directly from the warehouse as rewards. Zhang Pingting also gave a lot of things as a gift. The crown princess saw that the prince asked people to take things from the storehouse to reward people. She didn't know what was going on, so she wanted to ask the crown princess what the reason was. But the concubine was very frightened today and had already gone away. She didn't care anymore. Wenfeng spent a lot of money to send the people in the palace away. The family gathered around the things and were filled with emotion. Among them, there was also a cardboard box handed to Wen Yu by Chiur, which contained several books. Zhang Niang said that it was a good book she had read in recent years, and it even had her comments on it. Specially given to Wen Yu, the meaning of closeness is obvious. Mrs. Wen looked at it carefully and handed it to Wen Yu solemnly. Tell her, don't lose it, don't get it dirty. Look carefully and think carefully. Next time I ask you, don't know nothing. Wen Jiao came up and said to Wen, sister, next time you go to see Sister Pingting, you can take me with you. I am also very familiar with Sister Pingting. Wu looked at Wen Yu with no grudges and a smile on her face. Yuanji looked at the stars and spoke as warmly as the moon. She didn't dare to look at her husband, for fear of seeing recognition, attention, and comparison in his eyes. This feeling of failure and powerlessness was something she experienced when her husband married Mr. Chen. Old Mrs. Wen was not tired at all and was in high spirits. In the East Palace, I also saw the second wife of the general's family. She said she would send a note when she got home and let our family be a guest tomorrow. Mrs. Su, who is close to her, her ancestral home is far away from us. Our home is only over 100 miles away from the Song family. It's hard to say that we all know each other from the same place. In the capital, we have to join the group to keep warm. Wen Yu agreed obediently and glanced at everyone gently. Wen Qian said nothing, he was deep and gentle. He was deeply satisfied with what happened today. Wenfeng laughed happily from time to time. Brother Feng, if the old lady says something, he will nod. Even Wu, who had been keeping a low profile for a while, looked brighter. The three sisters Wenjiao have probably even thought about how they can benefit from the Empress in the future. As for Wen Huan, he was fiddling with the handkerchief, his head half lowered, and his expression could not be seen clearly. Yuanqi, her previous calmness was gone, her face turned gray, it looked like she was really shocked. If you look forward to it every day, you want to have ways to enter the emperor's home, and you will be unwilling. This is the difference between superior and inferior. Sometimes, death is not scary. What is scary is repeated failure, being denied, and being abandoned. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 172. When Yu returned to his room, and Xiaoji saw that Laba hadn't come back yet. He asked, "Girl, where is Laba? Ask her to go do some errands and be back soon. Are you tired today, girl?" A bit Wen didn't say much, he was really tired. Xiaoji didn't ask any more questions and quietly prepared hot water for her to wash up. King He helped Wen Yu change into small clothes, pick off jewelry, and let go of her hair. Movements are light and steps are clear. She has been very attentive to her work recently. Hong Xing seemed a little worried, but she was very honest and did whatever she had to do. King He hoped that she could talk about the affairs in the palace, especially whether she had seen Mr. Chi Wu. But Wen Yu didn't talk much to them. She used to do everything the two girls did by herself, so she was not picky. No matter what, she will not treat them as confidants. However, the Chi family is large and the situation is complicated. Before getting married, you have to prepare some manpower. Oops, I forgot to ask, Laba, how long can I use it? She's so useful, don't take it back for me. After washing up, I opened the book given to me by Ping Ting. When I was a child, the scene of the three of them getting along came to mind. Laba came back very late and quietly told the things. When you felt no emotion at all about Zhang Jinjin's unwelcome death. Such people deserve what they deserve. As for the gold of Duke Xingguo, he is stupid and lustful, but he is bold and very useful. Pay more attention. Laba, you did a good job today. Let me give you 2 days off. When you yawned, tomorrow morning, I will find some things for you. You can go to Zuzu's to get some and go back and take a look. Your senior brothers. Laba happily agreed. The next day, Wen Yu found some things in his small warehouse and gave him some money. He also wrote letters to Yanzu and Master Qing, asking them to prepare something for Zhe Laba. Laba was not polite, got 2 large carts of stuff, and went directly back to his hometown. Feeling elated, a bit like returning home in fine clothes. The senior brothers and sisters at home were surprised. The things she brought back were gone in the blink of an eye. As soon as 15 entered the door, he saw the chaos inside. When he looked again, it was Laba, this dead girl again. He reached for the stick and was ready to fight. Unexpectedly, he stretched out his hand and caught a beautiful purple clay pot. 15 has no hobbies. The only thing that interests me is drinking tea. Of course, there are a lot of utensils missing for drinking tea. When I saw the pot in my hand, I was so excited that I coughed and said, "Okay. It's almost done." Seeing that everyone was honest, he left with his hands behind his back. Everyone surrounded Laba and expressed their good opinion of her master. With his gentle words that he disliked, he had coaxed away several of his most trusted people with 3 melons and 2 dates. The next day after the general's arrival, the Wen family were invited. This time, the whole Wen family went into battle together. Even Mrs. Wu and the newly pregnant Mrs. Li went. Yuan's thoughts on taking advantage of the situation have faded away, and he is scared to go, but he must go. I didn't know what to say to my daughter beforehand, but I saw Wen Huan dressed neatly, but she was distracted. Old Mrs. Wen attaches great importance to the general's family and goes to the warehouse in person to prepare the gifts neatly and not to be too conspicuous. On this day, the boss of the general family and the general were all there, and they came back after making a banquet outside. When Pingting's mother saw Wen Yu, she felt happy. She took her hand and looked her up and down. Old Mrs. Wen, you have raised your granddaughter so well. Old Mrs. Wen was very flattering. No matter how good she is not as good as our queen. When we met yesterday, my God, that style, even in front of several princesses and queens, she is very stable, not inferior at all. When you nodded, Aunt Zhang and Grandma are right. Sister Pingting's style really makes Wen Yu admire and appreciate her. However, my sister also praised me, saying that I am not as rough as before. Everyone present laughed. The Yuan family disappeared in the Wen family, and her identity was not revealed at all. Feeling embarrassed, I put a little smile on my face and didn't say much. Mrs. Zhang said, "Girl, you were naive when you were young, not rough. Of course, it's better now. You are a beautiful girl with a unique charm." Mrs. Wu complimented, "Sister-in-law, you are really good at complimenting others." We can't remember this word. Everyone laughed again. Mrs. Zhang said, "Sister Wu, your Jiao is not bad. She seems to have a strong temper, and she will not suffer any disadvantages even if she gets married. My father, sir, and I did not raise the girl as a little girl. No matter when, it has to stand up." Wen Jiao was very proud of being praised. He actually glanced at Wen Huan. "Wen Huan. Hen, what do you see me doing?" Old Mrs. Wen nodded, "I really agree with what you said. I strictly control them, and the second daughter-in-law still feels distressed. Do you understand why now, over the years, she has been so strong that she has today's day?" Wu quickly took a picture. How can a daughter-in-law have a mother's vision? Isn't this an improvement? Another burst of laughter. Mrs. Zhang said to Mrs. Wen, "When I received Pingting's letter, I laughed. He had met Mr. Chi Wu. When he came back, he said, he looks like that and is so capable. God is unfair. He wants to. I said, why is it unfair? It's God's kindness that compensates her because we are so good." Wen Huan regretted it greatly when he heard this. He shouldn't have come today. "Who is Mrs. Wen?" Her face was not red at all, and she said calmly, "You don't know. The first time I saw him, I was dumbfounded. The last thing I said was that we fell in love with Ayu. How could I dare to believe it, actually?" She paused and waited, but she still didn't treat her polite rejection of MRSG as a joke, otherwise what would happen if she spread the word? She was a thief from her hometown, and continued, "I thought you were teasing me. My God, speaking of it, I experienced a lot of twists and turns in the first half of my life. This time, God is sympathizing with me." When you deeply felt that Mrs. Wen was shameless. But her simple operation made the ladies of the general's family have a much better impression of her. After leaving the general's house, Wen Yu ran away and took Xiaoji to find Yanzu and tell her about Pingting. When Yanzu heard this, she was very happy. "Oh, Zuzu actually knows the Empress. Ayu, next time you go to see the Empress, take Zuzu with you." "Okay, I'll take you with me. Pingting is still asking about you." "Really?" "Zuzu feels that status is more valuable than gold." "Ayu, have you noticed? We are all in good hands." "Yes, it will be the same in the future." The two of them are here, recalling the past and looking forward to the future, very happy. As for the Wen family, Mrs. Wen called Wen Qian over to talk when she got back. Yuan Shi and Wen Huan were sitting alone. "Mother, I really hate her." Wen Huan finally put aside her gentleness and kindness and put on a vicious look on her face. "Yes. She made us look terrible," Yuan sighed. She came to the capital and was busy for half a year. The relationship maintained and the reputation gained make the husband affirm and praise her. How long has it been since when you came? It suppressed myself until I lost all my glory. The old lady has changed. If her husband changes again, can she not hate it? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 173. After the 5th day of the Lunar New Year, many shops opened on the street. Since he also planned to open a restaurant and a snack shop, Wen Yu wanted to take Yanzu out to taste the food and broaden his horizons. Unexpectedly, spending money on food would lead to problems. Those high-end restaurants and specialty restaurants, when Li Jiang went to order them, the waiter in the store asked, "What? It's Chinese New Year, you guys with no names, it's your first time back, you still want to book a private room? What are you thinking about?" Everyone's nostrils were turned upward, they were proud and reserved, they seemed to be offended by Li Jiang. Otherwise, just arrange the time for blind, or the table is near the entrance door of the lobby. Li Jiang was so angry that he muttered, "It's not like we don't give money." Waiting for the waiter to casually throw out the menu, the price was so high that even Wen Yu was stunned when he saw it. Although she can't afford it, is there something wrong with such a fancy way of thinking? This is how to do. In desperation, I wanted to ask Chi Wu about the situation. As a result, Chi Wu didn't know much. He said that it had not been long since he officially appeared in the capital. He had many things to do and had no time to go out to a restaurant. The ones I visited were treated by friends. I really don't know the specific circumstances. As for MRSG, a prostitute, she only had a few restaurants, and she didn't choose them herself. Chi Yuyi represents the Chi family and has a lot of entertainment. When others invited him, he also invited them, and he was familiar with all the restaurants in the capital. Usually, the housekeeper of the house or the senior attendant around him makes arrangements, and the house's account is directly handled. But MRSG was unwilling to negotiate with the government, let alone talk nonsense with him. When Yu went to ask his uncle to see what Master Mo had to say. In the end, Mr. Mo said that he went out to eat a lot, however, they are all treated by others. He himself only knows which restaurant has good dishes. But I don't know exactly how it is determined and how much it costs. He could go and ask the host, but he was worried that they might misunderstand that he wanted to eat. When Yu heard it, he laughed to death. "Sigh, it's just a meal, but there are so many things to talk about." MRSG said, "Don't worry, I will ask your grandfather when I go home." When Yu smiled secretly, "He's not even my grandfather. Dad from the Kui family, on weekdays, he will invite others even if he is invited. If he wants to change his taste, he will go to a restaurant himself." When his wife was alive, although she only ate a few mouthfuls of cat food, she was very picky. In order to please his wife, he always looks for special restaurants. Hearing the inquiry, he waved his hand and said, "Don't worry about it." At once, he made reservations for several restaurants, both for lunch and evening. He also said that he would come to eat with him in person and let him pay the bill. Hearing that the old man was fond of wine, Wen Yu sent Li Jiang to Song's house to ask for it. The housekeeper of Song House told Li Jiang, "The fifth master in the family has VIP seats in many restaurants. Wherever Miss Wen wants to go, just tell her directly and I will make the decision myself. You can go anytime and pay your bills." Li Jiang reported back excitedly, "Now, the girl can't eat anymore." The housekeeper also said that the fifth master has received a letter and will go to Beijing after the Chinese New Year. Please tell the girl that you don't understand the decoration of the store and wait for him to come. "Why don't I understand?" At this moment, Wen Yu felt at ease with Song Shang, just like a brother and sister and an old friend. Daddy Kui is having a treat, and MRSG and Chi Wu are both here. Dad Kui looked at his daughter, his face was full of smiles, and he asked her to accompany him to eat. He didn't know when it happened. Wen Yu and Yanzu brought wine. There are beauties, fine wines, and delicious food, and you don't need to worry about socializing. This is the real meal. After drinking wine and tasting dishes, Mr. Kui and Yanzu hit it off immediately. You little girl, how come you are so clever? He was very moved when he saw Yanzu's ability to talk about the dishes that were served to him. Yanzu is very honest, I don't fully understand. I have never seen many spices, and I don't know the taste and usage. So, I know that there are things added to them, but I don't know what they are. Looking back, I have to go to the spice shop to have a look. Yes. I have never come across the ingredients, so I don't know how to handle them. There are so many tricks here. I say, don't care what other people do, just make your own dishes. It must have its own characteristics. It's impossible for a restaurant like this in Beijing to cook everyone's specialty dishes. People are the masters of their own dishes. It has been developed by generations of cooks, but it will not be as beautiful as it is delicious. The old man is indeed a gourmet, and he can see the essence of the dishes at a glance. Upon hearing this, Yanzu suddenly became enlightened and clapped her hands in praise. She loved to chat again, which made the old man blush with praise. I started to think about it in my mind. The wife of an old man loves matchmaking the most. Go back and tell this pretty and outrageous little girl that she is a good person. Chi Wu sat next to Wen Yu, watching his grandfather chatting and laughing. I feel warm in my heart. I heard from my mother that my grandfather saved my grandmother by chance. There were more than 10 women there at that time, and he fell in love with his grandmother at a glance. Since then, I have never seen anyone else. At first, my grandmother disliked him because he was a military man, vulgar, not much ink, and not elegant. I don't want to marry him. But with his sincere heart, sincere friendship, and silly pursuit, he finally made his grandmother accept and like him. When my grandmother was seriously ill, the person who was most worried about her was my grandfather. For the uncle and mother, Qian Dingxiang ordered that everyone must care about him. Over the years, I have been accompanied by my uncles, aunts, cousins, and Yuan who have been with me attentively. He finally got over the misery of the absence of his beloved woman. The mother next to her kept talking to Wen Yu. Two people feeding each other. Say a few words of warmth and she will laugh non-stop. The brows are relaxed and the heroic appearance is restored. All the changes in his mother seem to stem from his fiancée. Although now, he still doesn't understand what the friendship between his grandfather and grandmother is like. What should we do to be like them? But I am willing to try it with you. When you turned around and saw Chi Wu looking at her, the look in his eyes was different from before. What's the matter, what's going on? When you took a moment to ask him. It's okay, I'm fine. On the 10th day of the lunar month, the Qi family held a banquet. From the Kui family came the second lady and county master Huai, leading Xiao Yuan. As soon as Xiao Yuan came, she asked, "Where is Sister Au?" County Lord Huai smiled and said, "It will be half a year before your Sister Au appears here." MRSG complained, "I don't know why, but it feels like every day has been so long recently in the past, it seemed like one day lasted in the blink of an eye." "You miss your daughter-in-law." "Where is that?" she asked MRS Su. "We took Su out last time, didn't we lose face?" MRSG said nonchalantly, "They call me madam now." "That's good. Have you heard? It's me who caused the discord between the two of us." "That one is really not tired." County Master Hui looked at MRS Tan from the corner of her eyes and said disgustedly, "You said that if she can reach this day, shouldn't she be laughing so hard in her dreams?" How come she behaves like this? What about when you are not satisfied? Looking at Mrs. 10, who is well dressed, her sitting posture is not as regular as that of ordinary noble ladies. Her speech has a soft southern tone, and her expressions are rich and funny. The people sitting around her all liked her and were all smiling. Chi Bauer was brought here by the girl. She really wanted to show off to Yuan. Auntie, my turtle is bigger than yours. Look, I can even retract the melon seeds and insert them, look. Mr. 10 was saying, Yuyi made a lot of lamps a few years ago, and they are all very beautiful. They are well kept in the warehouse. I plan to take them out and put them in the yard. I won't go to the street. Everyone is there. It's a young man enjoying the lanterns. I'm old and weak, so I don't want to join in the fun. The ones who came today are from a family that is relatively close to the Chi family. Those who have children also like Yuan and Bauer's dolls, and several little girls are playing in front of Mr. 10. After chatting for a while, 10 asked Yuan, Xiao Yuan, are you going to see the lanterns on the street on the 15th? Yuan said, old lady, Daddy promised Yuan to go. He said he would walk from home to Haoerhe, watch the fireworks, and then walk back. There are also candied haws to eat. Hey, little girl, be careful when looking at lanterns. There are many people taking photos of flowers on the street. If I take you away, you won't be able to find your mother. Yuan's eyes lit up when she heard it. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 174. Chapter 174 Yuan finally remembered that she had the experience of being photographed. She is the temperament of the Kui family, straightforward and simple. Although at that time, she was scared and cried. But later on, it was nice to be coaxed by gentle words. So much so, I don't think so, it's even like an adventure. As soon as she was reminded by Mr. 10, she wanted to show off her glorious experience. There's nothing to be afraid of as a photographer, Yuan is here, she was about to say. Old Madam Chi, under the rule of Emperor Yang, the times are peaceful and prosperous. It coincides with the Lantern Festival, and the Emperor celebrates with the people. The capital is decorated with lights and colors everywhere, showing that the world is peaceful and prosperous. How can there be any frivolous people? County Lord Hui stood there and spoke unhurriedly, but her voice was not quiet. Everyone was stunned for a moment. Why did we get to this point? Besides, my daughter, how can we stand by those crooked, dirty people? Mrs. 10's heart thumped, it's bad. Why can't I talk? Did MRSG really tell County Master Hui about this? She reacted very quickly and said with a slight smile, County Master Hui, what I said is just a joke for children. Why are you so nervous? When people nearby heard this, they also thought that County Master Hui was making a fuss. Speaking of which, MRSG is still the elder of County Master Hui, which is very rude. An old lady with a high status said directly, yes. Everyone is telling a joke during the Chinese New Year. MRSQESI, don't be anxious. Sit down quickly. Hui Yi didn't care, maybe MRSG comes from the folk world. She has experienced many such things since she was a child, and she was deeply impressed, so that after so many years, what she has been thinking and saying is still the same. Mr. 10 was extremely embarrassed. She glanced at the person next to her quietly and covered her nose with a handkerchief, as if she didn't know what to do. Okay, County Master Hui. This is the Chinese New Year, and we are still at the Chi family. You should calm down your anger, the old lady was complaining again. Oh, yes. It's at Chi's house. If you don't let me tell you, I'll leave. Yuan, come here, let's ask your father to go home. After saying that, she led Yuan and walked out in a swaggering manner. But Bauer said to Yuan, Auntie, when you go out to go shopping, Call Bauer, her mother said not to go out on the street. What she said was very discouraging. Mrs. Tan wished she could give her a slap in the face. When County Master Hui passed by Mrsg, she said to her, "Third sister, no matter what, I should not make trouble with you today. I will apologize to you. If my brother-in-law blames me for a while, please tell me something, be filial, you have to be a mother. If he doesn't accept it, whatever he wants, my Kui family will take over." The people who heard it looked at each other. Why did they say this? What happened to the Chi family and the Kui family? There are older people who know that this Tan family is from a humble background. There were young people nearby who didn't know, so they asked with their eyes. If they were chatty, they would whisper a few words. When someone takes the initiative, more people will speak. For a moment, it seemed like everyone was biting their ears. Mr. Tan regretted it endlessly and felt as if he was sitting on pins and needles. Someone finally smoothed things over. This year, the lights were placed from Zongji to Haoerhe. People from the city defense were mobilized. One is to prevent crowding, and the other is to prevent lights. Someone else said, there will be fireworks over Haoerhe. Several high-rise buildings nearby have already decided to go out. Which of you has decided to do so? That price is ridiculously high, we can't decide yet. Let this matter be brought to light. Even though there were many people coming to the rescue, Tan still managed to hold on and survived the night. After everyone dispersed, Mr. Tan returned to the house, shivering all over, and barely managed to avoid sweeping the things on the table to the floor. Even Chi Yi heard something and wanted to come to comfort her, but she didn't even see him. Even the mood to provoke is gone. Sit alone under the lamp with your eyes closed. What does this mean to me? I crawled out of hell, what haven't I passed through? Don't be angry, don't be angry. Do everything I can do, whoever laughs last is the real laugh. It took a long time before I calmed down and wrote a letter under the lamp. Come out and call someone, call Mrs. Joe from the second door. When she entered Chi's house, there was no one of her own. Although the people around her are all her own, no one knows her deepest secret. After a while, Mrs. Joe from the second gate came. Mrs. Tan handed her a letter and said, "Send the letter over." She didn't tell her the address, but Mrs. Joe knew it. Very early the next morning, Mrs. Joe went out, hired a donkey cart, and walked for a long time to Fanghua Temple on the outskirts of Beijing. The woman went directly into Wankaiwan. This place is for wealthy families to stay when they come to offer incense. As soon as Mrs. Joe handed over the letter and asked about the letter that was not given to her, she came back. After a while, a man came out and entered the city. Finally, he stopped at the door of a big house and asked someone to report it inside. After a while, a man came out and took the letter. That man returned to the temple again. In the evening, the owner of this house came back. This man's surname was Zhou. He was nearly 70 years old and had already retired to the official position. But he is considered a special person in the capital, with his hands and eyes reaching the sky. Can help people do a lot of great things. The servant handed over the letter. Opening it, he frowned. You want me to deal with the Kui family? Dealing with County Lord Hui? Is she crazy? Do I think that whoever I am, I can deal with whomever I want to deal with? Besides, what good does it do me to deal with them? I've helped her once, but it's not enough. I don't know the heights of the sky. Burn the letter on the fire and ignore it no longer. Sitting there, I thought to myself, I just met with King Wu, and two things happened recently. It was obvious that they were about to be completed, but they were inexplicably messed up. What went wrong? On the evening of the 15th, Chi Wu came to Wen Yu's small courtyard at the urging of Mrsg. In the small courtyard, many lamps were also lit, and some blanks were bought and the girls processed them. There are two strange-looking ones, and Master Ching said they were made by her nephew. The queen also had people deliver lamps. The girls didn't get much rest during the Chinese New Year. There was chaos outside today, and Master Ching wouldn't let them go out to play in the street, so he arranged it in the yard. After a while, when you went to the street, and they wanted to drink and guess in the yard. When you ask Chi Wu, "Are you okay today?" There are always things that happen. However, there are many people on the street today, and my mother is worried about you, so she asked me to accompany you. Chi Wu is in front of him, his face is as white as jade, and his eyes are like stars. She has an outstanding figure and dresses so ostentatiously. Can you put on a mask? What mask? When you took several masks made of craft paper with facial makeup painted on them, with eyes and mouths exposed. Each one is different. You don't know about masks, have you never worn one? When you thought about the time when he chased her while wearing a mask, humph, it almost scared me to death. How could you be so scared that you still bite me, humph, Chi Wu also snorted. At that time, how could they have imagined that they would have such a relationship now? The two of them felt the magic of fate at the same time, and there was something strange about it. I wear that because I'm doing something, and I'm afraid that people will recognize it, Chi Wu thought to himself. It's not something I'm doing now, so what should I be afraid of? There are quite a few girls on the street today to watch the lanterns. You look like this, wandering around in the crowd, I'm afraid you won't cause a commotion. In my opinion, this is the one, with a beard, it looks more rugged and powerful. You think I'm not powerful? Chi Wu asked smoothly. When you blushed and didn't know how to answer. Try it on. Okay, Chi Wu didn't care. When you walked behind Chi Wu. But he was too tall, so how could she reach him? Squat down, when you didn't even realize that there was some tenderness in his tone. Chi Wu felt that squatting like this was unsightly, so he walked a few steps and sat on a chair. When you followed him, covered his face with a mask, and tied the belt behind his head. Okay, let me take a look. Chi Wu started teasing him and put on a very powerful posture. How is it? When you was overjoyed. Very good, very good. Chi Wu looked at her and said, in my opinion, your appearance will cause more disturbances. You must wear one too. Yanzu, bring it to me. Yanzu came over and said, Ayu, you are wearing this, right? There are flowers on your forehead and cheeks. But Chi Wu said, wearing this? What's the difference between wearing this and not wearing it? It will still cause commotion. This fat little girl's is very good. If others take one look, they will not look at it a second time. It is safe. When Yu's face turned slightly red. Does he mean, I look good? I do look good. I felt a little proud. Sit down, Chi Wu pointed to the chair. Sit down gently and obediently. Chi Wu was not as dexterous as her. He leaned forward first, saw the position of her eyes clearly, and then carefully pressed the mask gently on her face. Looking at her fair and slender neck, he was so nervous, and he was afraid of hurting her with his heavy hands, so it took him a long time to tie it up. Then, he walked around to the front, took a closer look, and nodded, this is very good. Although it doesn't look that good, it's safe. Yanzu is on the side, oh my, they are just taking care of me, okay. End of this chapter. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 175. Seeing that they had put it on, Yanzu chose a cat-faced one. When you helped her put it on, and when she saw it, there were still a few beards. The two people laughed loudly, let's go. As a result, Chi Wu said, wait a minute, then he took out a piece of paper from his arms and spread it on the table. You two come over here, Laba, you come over too. When you didn't know what he was doing, so he pulled Yanzu over. This is the route we are going to take today. There is a route on the table, with streets drawn and some major places marked. Wen Yu and Yanzu looked at each other and wondered if it was so troublesome. Chi Wu didn't look at either of them. He pointed to the top and said seriously, "This is our gate. When you go out, take this road to the main street, and then." The two girls looked at each other again. "This street is the main lighting area today. The lights are placed from here, but we don't go that way. Instead, we go up from Ljia Alley, then turn right, all the way to Yinding Bridge. If there are too many people, don't go here, but go around here. The fireworks are set off here, do you understand?" The two girls nodded quickly. "Grandpa booked the Fixian Pavilion. We only booked one room, and there was a balcony outside. It was said that you can see the fireworks reflected on the water. My uncle and aunt are here at the Wang Yuan Pavilion. Mother is not coming today. There are many people today and the situation is changeable if you get separated, don't panic." Looking at the two girls, he hesitated again. If something really happened, both of them would be killed. "Laba, you are staring at Yanzu today. I am staring at you. There is Xiao Qi following you. Even if they are all separated, don't panic." Wen Yu was speechless. "How can we get separated like this? Are you going to watch the lanterns or run away?" Chi Wu wore a mask, but everyone felt his seriousness. "First find the city defense people and tell me and the Chi family's names. Let them find a safe place to place you. I will find you. Don't follow easily. People walk away. Remember not to follow the flow of people. It is easy to fall and be stepped on by people behind you." Bot, bot, bot. He rarely talks like this, his mouth is dry. At first, Wen Yu and Yanzu listened carefully. Later, "You looked at my cat face for fun, and I made fun of your fat face. Then, you squeeze me, I touch you," a ghostly smile. Chi Wu talked seriously for a long time. When he saw the two people playing around and not listening carefully, he became unhappy. "Did you understand what I said?" "Understood," the two people nodded. "Repeat it to me." "The 16th day of the first lunar month is the day of Qin Lianyu's wedding. Today, Xinjiang and many other people are already in place." Du Lu was afraid of disturbing other people's celebrations, so he prepared delicious dishes and gave out red envelopes. "The atmosphere is very lively." She guarded her tightly for how many days, and finally she was about to marry Qin Lianyu. He guarded his daughter again and persuaded her earnestly. Qin Lianyu lowered her head and said nothing. Since she had to get up early tomorrow morning to dress up, Du Lu asked her to go to bed early. After Du Lu left, Qin Lianyu sent Akin away. Then he took out the clothes he had prepared, arranged everything, and slipped out of the door while the family was in a mess. Aki followed her. Achi's brother had already inquired about the route and even went to the place where the fireworks were set off to have a look. Seeing her coming out, "Girl, I have found out clearly that the wealthy families in the capital have booked several high-end restaurants and tea houses. If Mr. Chi goes, he can only go to that area. Walk." Qin Lianyu didn't know what she was doing. What would she say if she really saw him? But an obsession to see him made her restless and unable to sleep. "Then go." When Ruoking came out of the front study room at home and was about to go out the door, a woman came to greet her and said with a smile on her face, "Sir, my wife said that we are in the room reserved for Wang Yuan Tower today. You can see the fireworks there. Could you please?" When Ruoking acted as if he hadn't heard anything and walked forward. The mother-in-law quickly stepped aside, looking at his retreating figure. She shook her head and sighed. He did not take any entourage with him and walked alone on the street. He cannot remember some things. "But I don't know why, but I especially like going to lantern festivals. I always feel that there is someone very close to me who will point to the lantern and talk to him non-stop at the lantern festival." He kept talking, but he never heard what was being said. It seemed as if he was about to hear it the next moment and remembered. But when that time comes, My head will hurt very much. The pain will be severe. That kind of heart palpitations and emptiness made him dare not pursue it any further. At this moment, looking at the streets with lights and colorful lights everywhere, I feel particularly happy. He looked at it most carefully, so he knew that this shop was the most boring. There were a few jack-o'-lanterns that had not been replaced for more than 10 years. He looked at the boss who was wearing an old cotton coat and a hat with ears. He couldn't help but smile. So stingy. Actually, he is also stingy. In all these years, he has never booked a private room in Fixian Pavilion, Wangyuan Tower, or Jinhai Tower. He only walked from home to the neighborhood, drank 2 glasses of light wine in a tavern, and then came back with the fireworks. I searched all the way, even though I didn't know what I was looking for. But when you find it, you'll know it. Webster has not been out for a long time. Today, Yang Xiangdong accompanied her to the Lantern Festival. Wexler is dressed like a goddess. Yang Xiangdong looked at it with ups and downs in his heart. She is so beautiful. He couldn't help but laugh and said, "Ayu, you are making me very worried." Worry about what? Today, we have decided to go to the Fixian Pavilion. What if you climb up and fly directly into the sky? Poor talk, Wei Xianjiao spat at him. What I said is true. As I walked along the way, I don't know how many people looked at me sideways. Hearing what he said, Wei Xianjiao thought about it and felt that something was wrong. After all, he and I haven't made it yet, so it's better not to attract too much attention. What you said makes sense. I don't want too many people to see it now. Let's put on a more ordinary cloak outside. I've prepared it for you too. One piece. Huh, do you still have mine? Are you wearing any clothes or not? Of course. Wei Xianjiao took out 2 identical ones. Ah. Are we the same? Ayu, you always have wonderful ideas. Yang Xiangdong's sweet words came out without hesitation. Wei Xianjiao blushed with embarrassment. The Wen family rented a room on the 3rd floor of Wangyuan building. Old Mrs. Wen didn't come, so brother Wen Qian came out with his children. Take a carriage ride and then walk to the light district. Wen Feng was wearing a fine white cotton coat. He was already handsome and his figure was not out of shape. Her hair is thick, so she looks a bit elegant. After entering the capital, he was busy all day, and for a long time, he didn't think about it anymore. Today, taking advantage of the sky and moon and the lotus lanterns reflecting each other, I plan to take a good look at the beauties on the street. Wen Qian felt that Yuan and him had been distant recently, and thought to himself, it took a lot of effort for the 2 of them to get to where they are today. How can it continue like this? Isn't that an important choice for oneself, a complete negation? Therefore, he deliberately comforted and got close to the Yuan family, just like he used to look at the lamp, giving instructions, discussing, and achieving perfection. But at this moment, Yuan Shi had no such intention. When Huan married into a high-ranking family, which has become her only obsession now. If the daughter I have tried so hard to cultivate is not as good as the orphan left by the dead. My husband, who tries his best to help me, values Yi Zongwenyu even more in my heart. Then I will no longer be a joke. No, everything else is easy to say, but this one cannot be tolerated. Wen Huan's passion has been fluctuating in recent days. She even told Yuan that she wanted to do anything at the Lantern Festival. Let Yuanqi stop him. Not that he knew that Wen Yu had people like Laba around him, and that he and Qiwu had any ability to protect him. She thought, causing riots at the Lantern Festival is a serious crime and can be easily detected. Furthermore, if something happens to her now, it will be detrimental to you. Today, you just need to be ready. If God gives you a chance, don't let it go. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 176. The prince was a little tired during the Chinese New Year. Today, I went to the palace to accompany the emperor and lit a lamp, and then returned to the palace. The queen didn't know what was going on, so she left the crown princess and the grand concubine behind. The grandson came back with the prince and settled him in place. Thought for a moment and stepped into the backyard. This is his first time to visit the general's concubine. As soon as I entered, I found that the courtyard was lit with several lamps of various colors, which made it bright. The doors and windows were open, and one could see that the house was bustling with activity. A charcoal stove was set up, and the copper pot above was steaming. "What are you cooking?" Before I entered the house, I smelled a pleasant smell, which seemed to be southern wine, also called shizi glutinous rice. When a palace daughter saw him coming, she quickly saluted, "Concubine, your highness is here." Jian Pingting saw the glutinous rice floating up, and when they were rolled again, they could be filled into bowls. "Why is he here? It's still this time. I feel troubled. Stand up and say, 'Your Highness.'" Taijun felt uncomfortable seeing her perfunctory attitude and lack of smile. Whose house did he enter and everyone was so excited? Even Shui Ying, no matter how angry she is, will get better as soon as she goes away. This guy, why does his face smell so bad? Well, let me take a look. What are you doing here? Cook glutinous rice balls. Why are you cooking it yourself and the kitchen didn't send it to you? This is brought in from outside and is raw, so cook it yourself. Nonsense, how can the food from outside be brought in so easily? Yes. Pay attention next time, Zhang Pingting said nonchalantly, but kept her eyes on the pot. It's already cooked. If it's overcooked, it won't taste good. Your Highness, please sit down. Your Highness, the glutinous rice are ready. Do you want to try too? Taijun complained in his heart, two. Just give me two. What a rarity. Snored. Okay, bring me a bowl. Zhang Pingting was very angry. When you asked Yanzu to bring a lamp and a box of glutinous rice balls, only 20 of them. Fortunately, there is still a can of glutinous rice. At this moment, she was halfway through cooking. There are 10 more, I want to cook them for breakfast tomorrow. Her appetite is quite good. These 10 are considered her midnight snack after dinner. But he has already said. Chewer, get another bowl for His Highness. Taijun seemed to sense a sense of disgust. Chewer responded. She wasn't sure how much the Empress planned to feed His Highness, so she handed the bowl directly to the Empress. At this moment, Zhang Pingting also figured it out. If you want to eat, let that girl Zuzu do it. Don't be stingy now. So she gave 5 of her grandsons, half for each person. Isn't it stingy? But it seemed like there was a little bit missing, so I added some more glutinous rice and gave it to the grandson. The grandson received half the bowl in her hand. How generous she was. Jian Pingting ignored him, scooped out the food on her own, and ate it happily. Taijun didn't like it and threw one into his mouth. It was so hot. Hurrying to catch it with a spoon, I glanced at it. Well, luckily no one saw it. Bite it open, it smells so good. Black sesame. The palace is accustomed to the northern yuanxiao, which is tougher and stronger than this. And this one melts in your mouth, with the aroma of fermented glutinous rice wine. When you eat it, a wave of heat will come up along with the aroma. That's really good. Bite again. What is this? After tasting it carefully for a long time, it seems to be from peanuts. Another one, sour, hawthorn. Then this is meat. Is this meat? He asked. Zhang Pingting said, it's from salty ham. It's delicious. The grandson accidentally ate all the food and even drank the mash. Holding the empty bowl, He watched Pingting chew her food carefully. Any more? He asked. Jian Pingting didn't want to say anything, so she chewed it for a while and then swallowed it all. Seeing that her grandson was still waiting for her answer. There are 10 more. Cook it all and I'll bring it to my father. Jiang Pingting felt that he was shameless. Was it because he wanted to eat it? You didn't mean that it was brought in from outside. I've tried it for my father, it's fine. Will it get cold if you take it over? It's not good for the prince to eat these cold and sticky things. Bring the glutinous rice and that, rice wine, and find a palace maid who can cook to follow you. No, you can cook it yourself. My breakfast was ruined, how can I still work? Jiang Pingting secretly hates her, why did she recruit him? So the grandson happily took the concubine to the prince's study in front. When the prince saw them coming in, he asked and found out that she was the general's daughter. It was the crown princess who brought her into the house. Your Majesty and his son have caused great harm to the imperial court. It is not good for a general's daughter to become his son's concubine. But by the time he knew it, the plan was already finished. Therefore, the prince treated Pingting very gently. Pingting's skillful movements can be seen as someone who works regularly. The prince chatted with her for a while. Jiang Pingting said that when her grandfather and father were in office, sometimes she had to cook herself when there was not enough manpower. He also talked about some of his experiences, and the prince and grandson listened with great interest. After the glutinous rice were cooked, the grandson only allowed the prince to eat 2. In the end, the prince grinded them for a while before giving him one more. If you can taste the smell of glutinous rice, the prince is already very beautiful. Then when Jiang Pingting saw her grandson, she shamelessly ate all the rest. Huh, is there any jasmine flavor? I didn't eat it just now. Wen Yu and Yanzu held hands and looked around, extremely excited. When there are many people, Qi Wu walks in front. When there are few people, Qi Wu follows behind. Looking at the 2 girls, they looked like 2 happy birds. He couldn't help but curl his lips slightly. Passing through an intersection with crowds of people on all sides, Labo passed by with Yanzu. Before Wen Yu had time, a dozen people came from the right and pushed towards her. Qi Wu took a step forward, put one hand on her shoulder, and held her small hand with the other to pull her back. The fragrant shoulders and jade hands were light and soft, he blushed for a moment. I feel like a fish is flapping in my heart. This taste made him uncomfortable and happy. Thinking to himself, this is the first time he has held a girl's hand. Of course, except for Xiao Yuan Yuan. At this time, the man named Qin Lianyu. Since he got engaged, he has already flown far away. At this moment, it disappeared without a trace. Seems like I never recognized it. Actually, not only was Qin Lianyu nowhere to be seen, she was also among the dozen or so people who just met Wen Yu. Moreover, she has been looking for Qi Wu. It's just that Qi Wu was wearing a mask, so she didn't recognize him. Qi Wu could have seen her, but at that time, he was distracted by Wen Yu's fragrant shoulders and jade hands. I guess if the sky falls, you will only realize it later. So, they missed perfectly. I don't know what will happen if I don't miss it. Yang Xiangdong was more cautious and put on his hat. He holds a folding fan in his hand to shield his face when someone is around. He works very hard in school and work. So I have never been to such a lantern festival on weekdays. I didn't know that there would be so many people. Webster's dress was not exposed, so no one paid much attention to her. As I was walking, suddenly someone next to me said, "If I give you half an hour, you won't be able to guess it?" Yang Xiangdong was startled when he heard this. This is his sister-in-law, Mrs. Li's son, and his wife's nephew. Who said that, if you hadn't been around to cause trouble, I would have guessed it, another person said. Several people came from behind him and walked forward. Yang Xiangdong was so frightened that he ducked into the store next to him in just 2 steps. Webster didn't pay attention and was still walking forward slowly. The group of teenagers passed by her and smelled a strong fragrance. Some of the teenagers quietly looked at her and walked forward without stopping. Yang Xiangdong peeked at a few people and saw that they were gone. He let out a breath and hurriedly came out because he was afraid that way she would be too worried. As a result, there was a boy selling masks on the side of the road. Ah! This is a good thing. How to sell masks? The boy smiled sincerely, 50 taels of silver each. Yang Xiangdong had lost his ability to think. He took out his banknotes and chose one with $100, I want this one with the flower pendant, and this one. The boy was originally selling them for 1 tael of silver each. Because the asking price is high, only 2 have been sold so far. But he still insists on the principle of whether to sell or not. Originally, it was just a matter of looking at the lamp and passing it on. This kid is very thief. I just saw this man dodging. Although I don't know what he is hiding from, he must be, he. So, I opened my mouth and offered a sky-high price, waiting for him to counter-offer. As a result, Yang Xiangdong threw away the banknotes and took 2 of them. Wei Zionjiao was saying, I looked all the way, and it was just now. He turned around and said, huh? No one left? Surprised, he stopped and saw Yang Xiangdong playing with something. Doing what? Ew, look, isn't it interesting? We both wear the same clothes, and each of us wears one, how fun it is. Isn't it dirty? Wei Zionjiao disliked it. It's not dirty, look, this seller is also clean and tidy, put it on. Wei Zionjiao also found it interesting, so the 2 of them put it on. Yang Xiangdong breathed a sigh of relief, God help me. The guy selling the mask was so excited that he almost cried. As soon as they left, he ran away. This person is none other than Li Yuan. He came out to look at the lanterns. Along with others, he took out the masks and lamps made by the girls and sold them. Get rich, get rich. Go back and tell Dad and Master Ching, tell the girl. How they must praise me. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 177. Qin Lianyu didn't look at the light, she was looking for someone. So, I saw Zhang Chuan very far away. I was walking on the road with a group of friends, both men and women, talking and laughing. Obviously, he was the center of those people. If it had been the past, she might have tried to create a surprise encounter for him. But today, I hurriedly hid in a nearby shop. When the group of people passed by, Qin Lianyu took a breath and heard a Qi say, Girl, it seems that Mr. Zhang is also going to where we are going. What if we meet him? Qin Lianyu was also a little confused. Yes, what should I do if I encounter someone? Girl, this is no joke. Then, let's go to the front. If we can't see that person, forget it. Qin Lianyu was in a low mood, but she still persisted. A Qi has been coerced and coerced by her until now. He has no choice but to hope that nothing will happen to him. Prince Yongqing was followed by several children from aristocratic families, who were also walking on the street. There is gold among them, and he has a son. He has no worries and a spring breeze in his face. Because he wanted to keep looking at handsome boys and beautiful women in the crowd, he procrastinated and walked at the end. As he walked, King Yongqing turned his head to look at the lights on both sides. Suddenly, a scent of fragrance entered his nose, and he stopped immediately. There was a woman in front of me, standing on the road, looking up at the top lantern fan. If he took one more step forward, he would knock that woman into his arms. Ah, the woman was obviously frightened. The upbringing of Yongqing County Prince made him say the first thing, I'm sorry. Without even looking at who it was, he stepped aside and continued to move forward. Prince Yongqing, the woman hesitated and asked. Only then did Prince Yongqing take a closer look. He looked familiar. The girl is. The little girl's surname is Wen. Miss Wen, I think I've met her once. Prince Yongqing smiled. This woman is none other than Wen Huan. Why is the girl alone? Wen Huan smiled helplessly. I got separated from my family, but luckily I brought the girl with me. She pointed to the little girl next to her who was buying something. Do you need my help? Thank you, Your Highness. I really want to ask, is this the direction of the Wang Yuan building? I have reserved a private room there to watch the fireworks. It should be in this direction. I'm still not familiar with it, but I've been here a few times and I know the general direction. That's good. I've been walking for a while. If I go in the wrong direction again, I'm afraid I'll miss the fireworks. We are scheduled to stay at Zhenhai Pavilion. We should. A young man next to me said, Your Highness, we are next to each other. Fixian Pavilion, looking far away, Zhenhai and other tall buildings are very close. Miss Wen might as well come with us. Thank you, Your Highness. I hope I didn't disturb you. Wen Huan was not shy at all. This made Yongqing's impression a lot better. It doesn't matter. Jin Zi squeezed over. Whose family does the lady belong to? I've never seen her before, he said enthusiastically. Wen Huan didn't know him, but looking at his appearance, he knew something was wrong and didn't want to say more. He curtsied, turned around and left. Is this little lady mute? Prince Yongqing frowned again. Jin Zi, don't talk too much. Following Wen Huan. Her hair, fluttering cloak, light steps, and long-lasting fragrance make her particularly charming on a night like today. Although Wen Feng is lustful, he is also good at playing, singing and guessing games. No, he just guessed a mystery that not many people have guessed. The shopkeeper praised it sincerely for a long time, causing people around him to applaud. He can show his victory in front of others. He stands with his hands behind his back, holding a little strength, and he is cool and unrestrained. In the crowd, there were countless girls who liked the uncle and young women who were pregnant, all looking at him secretly. The shopkeeper gave me a particularly gorgeous lamp. Wen Feng took it and took 2 steps back, ready to leave. At this moment, a woman next to him who had been watching him for a while was about to leave. Maybe he didn't expect Wen Feng's hind legs, so he stepped on Wen Feng. I'm sorry, the woman whispered, her voice soft. Wen Feng took a look and saw that she was a woman in her 30s. A hosta on the head and a grey cloak. Her face is as white as jade, with light makeup. Elegant and quiet, with good charm. Wen Feng had no bottom line in his patience with the woman he met for the first time. He smiled and said, It's not my fault, madam. It was my sudden retreat. His voice was soft and gentle from the south. I didn't step on you, did I hurt you? The woman didn't look shy either. No, it would hinder madam's walking. You're welcome, sir. I'll borrow it. The woman was about to leave. Wen Feng quickly leaned to the side and stretched out his hand to make a greeting gesture, which was exaggerated and funny. As expected, the woman smiled and was about to take a step forward. Etc. The woman raised her eyebrows. Wen Feng passed the lantern in his hand forward. I delayed madam's viewing of the lanterns. I use this to apologize. I hope madam will not blame you. The woman was stunned for a moment. That's it? She took it. Thank you, sir. Looked at him and walked forward. Wen Feng stood on the road and watched silently. Behind the woman were 2 girls and 2 male attendants, neatly dressed. Although she is not very good looking, her demeanor is definitely not that of an ordinary person. Wen Feng didn't know how many women he had seen before, but he had never seen one with such a look. He sighed in his heart. The woman walked forward for a long time, then turned around to take a look. But she saw Wen Feng still standing there looking at her. He turned around hastily and blushed. My heart has been calm for many years, but now, there are some ripples. When you and his party have arrived at Fixian Pavilion. The room is not big, but the view is very good. Take off the mask, drink tea, and rest. Yanzu ran outside and said, Ayu, come and see. You can see far away, and you can even see the lake. When you walked over and saw an intersection below. Several roads were brightly lit. On the lake opposite, there are several pleasure boats, and the water surface illuminated by the boats' lights makes the waves shine. Yes, it's so beautiful. She was looking around when suddenly, 2 balconies ahead, a woman came out of the house to look at the scenery. Her clothes were so different that when Yu's heart moved. Taking a closer look, it turned out to be her, Wei Xianjiao. Following her closely, a man came out. The scenery here is pretty good. Chi Wu also came out. Wulang, do you recognize that man? When you pointed quietly. When the man came out, he probably didn't expect the view outside to be so good, so he turned around and went back. But Chi Wu also understood, Yang Xiangdong, is related by marriage to Li Ji's hometown. Over the years, he has been promoted frequently. He is quite capable, but recently. Then he thought again, why did I almost tell a woman about this kind of thing? Then he stopped, this woman. Wei Xianjiao did not go back, but was looking downstairs. When you hid behind Chi Wu. Chi Wu glanced at Wei Xianjiao and said expressionlessly, I don't recognize him. When you said softly, I recognize her. Her surname is Wei. She is my cousin from the Song family and Li's former cousin-in-law. Chi Wu is a bit unable to turn around. Then Mr. Yang came out again with a mask on his face. Ayu, look at that mask, Chi Wu said softly. When Yu was stunned when he saw it. She had to choose between the one he wore on his face and the one worn on Chi Wu's face. Zuzu, there's someone wearing our mask next to you, just look at it, but don't say anything. Yanzui wanted to make a fuss, so don't let her yell out. Yanzu looked at him in surprise, eh? Why did you get in his face? I'll go back and ask later, just watch the excitement. When you took this opportunity to ask something, Wu Lang, you know that the Song family has a rich fortune, and now they have fallen out with the Wei family. Do you think it will be detrimental to the Song family if the Wei family relies on Mr. Yang? This is more complicated and cannot be figured out at once. However, this person has changed a lot recently. He seems to be looking for a better job, however, it is not in line with common sense, so we are just guessing, or it may be just an accident. If he and Mr. Li Ji are only related by marriage, how will he deal with the presence of Webster by his side? What dare he do? We didn't expect what you said. If he wants this woman, he has to get rid of the Li family. However, Mr. Li Ji has been in business for decades. How can he get rid of it by just finding someone else? I don't know about this. In a few days, my cousin will go to Beijing. Do you want to meet him? Okay. I knew Song Shang before, but I didn't have a close relationship with him. Yanzu suddenly said, Ayu, look. When you looked in the direction she pointed, Wen Huan, the prince of Yongqing. Did they actually come together? With his heart sinking slightly, Chi Wu took a look and said, that's Prince Yongqing. Well, the woman is my second sister. Chi Wu frowned. Wen Huan seemed to be bowing to Yongqing and taking leave. The smile on his face was sweet and natural. Prince Yongqing's expression was also very gentle. He bowed slightly and was surrounded by people around him and entered the Zhenhai Tower. Someone came close to Wen Huan and said something attentively. Wen Huan stopped smiling, bent his knees slightly, turned around and ran towards Wang Yuan Tower. That person is, Wen Yu asked. Xingguo Gongfu, gold. You just got a son. Yes, is your second sister familiar with Yongqing? Chi Wu asked. I didn't know her before, but it seems like she wants to get acquainted with her. You don't want to? Of course not. It seems that Yongqing is not very interested, Chi Wu actually said. When you was surprised, do you still know this? He didn't even go to Jinhai Tower to let her go. When you left. Qin Lian also arrived at the end of the month. She looked around, and suddenly she seemed to hear a woman laughing and looked up. I saw a man and two women standing on the third floor behind the carved fence. That familiar feeling came over me. Just as she was about to take a closer look, a hand from the side stretched out and pulled. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 178. Mr. Ten has been waiting for news for the past 2 days, but she has not acted like a monster again. 2 days later, Mrs. Joe was sent again to see how the man came back. As a result, I didn't believe it. If you want to wait, then write again if that doesn't work. She mustered up the energy to live this 15 years. MRSG went directly back to her parents' home to accompany her father. MRS-10 asked people to tidy up the yard and light up the lamps. His wife is not at home, Chi Yuyi is eager to do so. I took Aunt Ziyun to watch the lanterns and tell some jokes that were not funny. The kitten was not at home due to an invitation from a friend. Chi Hua's wife was pregnant. He pretended to be staying at home with her, but in fact he had gone out to play. After the new year, the Zhang family will go to Beijing, and not long after, Chi Si will also get married. There were a lot of things going on, and he was in his yard, packing things, but he wasn't there. Chi Xiao and his wife have had 2 troubles recently. Su thought that he should come to comfort her on this day. As long as you coax him, he'll be fine. But Chi Xiao felt that many things were different, he couldn't understand it, and he wasn't in the mood to coax his wife. Only Bauer, carrying a rabbit lantern around the yard, saying, "My rabbit is cuter than Tuan Tuan, recently, she wants to be like Yuan Yuan. Everything has to be compared." Qin Lianyu was held tightly. She screamed in fright and looked again, "Mother." The person who came was none other than Du Lu. She was looking at Qin Lianyu fiercely, and without saying a word, she picked her up and left. How can Qin Lianyu be willing? Struggling to look upstairs, it turned out to be him. Standing next to Bichwen and laughing. "No. Mom, I found my cousin, so I went over to say." Du Lu pulled her hard again. "Ah, it hurts." Du Lu was extremely angry and dragged her away regardless. Qin Lianyu was already weak, and after walking for a long time, she couldn't break away from her mother no matter how hard she tried. "If you make trouble again, I will drag you away," Du Lu said through gritted teeth. Achi was frightened to death. He stepped forward to support her and followed his wife. Stumbled all the way back to the residence and entered the house. Du Liupe slapped him across the face. Qin Lianyu was dumbfounded and covered her face. "You hit me." Looking at my daughter's incomprehensible expression, her face was filled with tears. Du Lu almost died of anger. "Instead of destroying your own future, why don't you let me beat you to death?" It turned out that Akin was sent back to the house, feeling uneasy. So he sneaked back again, only to find that the girl and Aki were no longer in the house. I was frightened to death and ran to tell my wife. Du Lu was almost frightened and quickly led his men out to chase him. As a result, I went to the street and found that there were people everywhere. Not wanting to disturb others too much, he ran all the way, bumping around, and finally found her. At this moment, she was covered in sweat, tired, scared, angry and resentful. Qin Lianyu's face turned cold, she pursed her lips and said nothing. She seemed to be still arguing. "Although the Zhang family is happy to propose marriage, I asked you, if you don't want to, I will find a way to refuse." But you nodded. "You have to analyze the pros and cons by yourself." "Yes. This is happening again. Looking at the house, everything has been sorted, except for clothes and jewelry, which will be put on as soon as they are put on the sedan tomorrow. Now that things have come to this, even if you don't enter the Zhang family, you can't follow Qi Wu anymore. Your fate with him has long been broken. Qin Lianyu burst into tears upon hearing this. Du Lu was even more angry. He was crying like this. How could he get on the sedan chair? How is it appropriate to appear in front of the Zhang family like this? You want to find Qi Wu? Do you want to enter the Qi family? Okay. Now I will send you to the gate of the Qi family. From now on, you can do whatever you like. Finished. She pulled Qin Lianyu and walked out. Qin Lianyu was shocked. If Du Lu coaxes her, she will most likely have to make a fuss for a while. But her mother was so anxious that she sent her to the front door of the Qi family, so she had to hit her to death? Mother, my daughter is wrong. Mother. She fell down and knelt on the ground. Du Lu couldn't hold her anymore, and pointed at her with a hateful expression, you. Whether it's the second young master Zhang or Qi Wu, they all have a good marriage. But, we can't split you in two. You destined to only choose one. Furthermore, you have already chosen, it is useless even if you regret it. We can only go forward. Besides, the Zhang family. Mr. Zhang Chuan. Do you know how many people are jealous? Mother, my daughter knows. I know, go to bed and sleep. Look at you now. Can you stand in the Zhang family if you come in like this? Qin Lianyu quickly wiped her eyes, not daring to make any more trouble. The fireworks were set off completely and everyone left the venue one after another. Wen Yu's mind has gone far away. It seems that Wen Huan is determined to enter Prince Wu's mansion. With her mother's instructions through words and deeds, it might not be impossible. Wulang, there is something I want to tell you. Originally, she didn't want to say it now, but if she didn't prepare early, it might be too late. What's up? That's it, Wen Huan is the daughter of my father's stepwife. This mother and daughter have always been hostile to my late mother and me. They were originally talking about a marriage. But then they saw your marriage. Continue. Do you think she is clinging to Prince Yongqing in order to outdo me? Qi Wu nodded, although I don't know what she has in mind, she is definitely not what I want to see when she enters Prince Wu's mansion. When you thought for a long time, going around and around, just to convince him, but unexpectedly, the interests were surprisingly consistent. However, even if she had the intention to cling, she shouldn't be doing what she did today. It's useless. You mean? We are getting married on the 18th day of the first lunar month of Yongqing dynasty. There are not a few people who are eyeing the position of concubine. Prince Wu's palace also has its own ideas. Your second sister should not be good enough in all aspects. Don't be angry when I say this. I am not angry. King Wu is profound, and Princess Wu is shrewd. Every position has been carefully considered. If she follows like this, she will get a concubine, and Lord Wen's face will be tarnished. Wen Yu nodded, but she is very ambitious. Or, even if she is a concubine, what if she thinks she can bet on the future? It's impossible for her to be so confused. Do you have anyone on hand for me to use? I have a lot of people, but I still don't have enough people who are loyal and capable. I'll go back and raise some money. Good. When Ruoking walked out of the tavern, Wen Yu and 3 others were passing by him. Today's young people still wear masks. Really good at playing. Although I can't see the appearance clearly, my figure and posture make me feel very beautiful. Especially the girl next to me, only a person with a light mind can walk like this. Just like. Looking at it, the woman in front of me seemed to be getting together with the person in my mind. It was as if she looked back, smiled and said to herself, hurry up. A smile appeared on Wen Ruoking's face, and he quickened his pace to keep up, although he was not walking in the direction of his home. He had just walked a few steps when suddenly, someone next to him pulled him. "Brother, when is so interested? Are you going shopping for lanterns alone?" Like being woken up from a sweet dream, feeling dazed. The man laughed and said, "Have you been drinking? Why didn't you call me?" When Ruoking said nothing and turned to look at the people just now. "Has gone far away, the lights are dim." Very late, the crown princess and the grand concubine came back from the empress. The crown princess was tired and angry, and her face was gloomy. As soon as the concubine Taizhen returned home, someone told her about the concubine and the concubine, which made her very angry. "The tiger is not at home. Someone comes out to act like a monster? Why do you keep hearing about this general's concubine lately?" So he sent the female officer to reprimand him. But I didn't expect that the concubine was so unattractive and low-key that she didn't seem to be such a person. She took out a book of palace rules and asked the female official to point out to her which rule she had violated. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 179. After 15, when you became busy. First, Li Zhang and Chen Wenxi were arranged to pick up Chen Wenhui. They were afraid that the road would be unsafe, so they asked Qi Wu for an older and steady guard. At first, these things were hidden from Ma, but when Chen Wenxi was ready to go out, she finally found out. What? Want to bring back the eldest aunt who has left the house? Don't even think about it. She made a fuss when she jumped up, and as a result, she got sick again. Chen Wenxi had already given up on this wife and set off without even looking at her. Mr. Ma has been sick recently. Brother Rui asked Aunt Chen to take her to his house and take care of him personally. Seeing that she has become more disciplined. Then there was Chen Wenliang, who coaxed him with gentle words and said that he had found a good place for him. Poor Chen Wenliang, he only thought that he would be fine if he went there, he would be a high-ranking official, he could ride on any horse, and he would have a bunch of younger brothers behind him. Unexpectedly, the miserable days of howling ghosts and howling wolves have officially begun. What's even worse is, he can't run away. He thought he was very smart and tried every means to escape, but in the end he only got punished and could not escape at all. The shop has been vacated and tidying up has begun. To open a clothing store, it is easy to clean up. Many places need to be whitewashed, painted, trimmed, decorated, partitioned, etc. mainly by some furniture and supplies. It would be much better if when you doesn't set a limit on the money, just follow it step by step. But restaurants and dessert shops are more troublesome. The kitchen is too complicated and I don't understand it. Special people were invited, including Wen Yu and several others, and even MRSG went into battle. After deliberation for many days, we finally decided on the plan. After this incident, several people around me felt that they had improved a lot. Especially Master Qing, he became more and more energetic as he worked, and his whole body was glowing with brilliance. When MRSG was in her boudoir, she only cared about having fun and was good at riding horses and archery. When I got married, I only learned the rules, how to manage my servants, etc. Like if you go out to do things by yourself, you won't know how to do it without learning. Otherwise, she would rent out such a good shop. It's different now, I'm very serious and energetic, I come every day. The wedding in Zhangchuan on the 16th day of the first lunar month caused quite a stir. It is said that his new wife is as delicate as a flower. When anyone talks to her, their voice must be lowered by 2 degrees. He also said that Zhang Chuan's mother and sister-in-law were very kind to this new daughter-in-law. Zhang Chuan loves his wife even more. After getting married, even when people asked him to go out to play, he didn't even go. These words reached MRSG's ears. She didn't have any displeasure. She looked at Wen Yu, who had been working for a while, and brought a plate of snacks over. Try the flavor of today's concoction. This Osman Thus cake is my specialty, even Zuzu can't compare with it, but I haven't done it for a long time, and I don't know if I put down my skills. Ha, that proud little guy. Ba, God has blessed me with this son-in-law. MRS-10 asked MRS Joe to go there again, but there was still no news. She did not give up and wrote another letter to send. As a result, MRS Joe went there, and the person who received the letter from the temple scolded her with a stern face, "My lord, you know what you are doing, why are you urging me? Don't run here blindly if you have nothing to do." When MRS Joe came back and told MRS-10, MRS-10 was angry. Is this talking about herself? This matter didn't work out, so he started to cause trouble again when he was free. As soon as he heard the rumors about the Zhang family, he called MRSG to ask questions again. The one named Qin Lianyu from the Qin family is your cousin Du's daughter, right? She married into the Zhang family. Why didn't I listen to you? MRS-10 looked at MRSG carefully, quite afraid of being sad. The feeling of something. MRSG lowered her eyes and said nothing, making it clear that she did not want to talk about it. But how could Mr. Tan let it go? Hasn't Xiao Wu lived in the Qin family for many years? I heard that your cousin Du takes care of the food, clothing, housing, and transportation. It is said that the relationship between the two families is quite close. How come they are getting married without a letter? Tan's speech was not in a hurry, but it was a series of trap questions. Madam, Xiao doesn't live in the Qin family, but goes to school in the Qin family academy. MRSG heard it and scolded her. Oh, yes, yes. I made a mistake. I just didn't expect it. Why are we so alienated? Are you having trouble? MRSG knew she was causing trouble, but she didn't know how to respond. I saw that girl from the Qin family when I was in Beijing when I was a child. Oh, she looks so pitiful. Originally, I thought you would give her to Xiao. When Mr. Tan saw MRSG not answering, she took the initiative to make it clear. Madam, be careful, my girl is already married, it's not good for you to talk about this now. MRSG was angry. MRS-10 clapped her hands together. Oh, isn't it? What happened to me today? You're right to remind me. It won't be good if I mention it now. Alas, I just feel sorry for you. The Qin family's lintel is stronger than the Wen family's. I heard that Grandma Zhang is so good. How about a kiss? It's better now. Oh, I just talked to you, and I made an appointment with Wen Yu. MRSG bowed hastily. If you have something to do, go first. MRSU was at the door and just about to come in. When she saw MRSG going out, she bowed but said nothing, which was a bit perfunctory. MRSG didn't say anything and walked away. Sue stood at the door and looked at her back. It's been like this lately. What are you busy with? What are you looking at? MRS-10 looked at Su Minghui, hating her for not arguing. When I saw my mother-in-law, I didn't even have a polite word to say. I'm really convinced by your temperament. See how they win over my mother-in-law. We haven't even entered the door yet. You should learn to learn. Humph. You are shameless, and the Su family girl can't learn from it. Su Minghui's face turned stinky. If it doesn't hurt my mother-in-law, it'll be fine if my grandmother hurts me. She is quite sweet when she is here at Tan's house. What are you talking about? MRS-10 looked at her angrily. I come from a poor family. No matter how much I love you, it only hurts in my mouth, but I love you in my heart. Even if Nu vomits blood, I can't stand up to your mother-in-law fingers. I don't know what you are thinking, don't let your elder brother be in vain. When Su Minghui heard this, her face became gloomy and her mind started to spin. Her mother-in-law's feet have not touched the ground these days. In the past, the cat was always in the house and never came out, but now it is really a completely different person. What are you busy with? I vaguely remember that the big shop in her hands is about to expire. How could she have such a diverse mother-in-law without even discussing it with her son about what was going to happen when it was due? I had something on my mind, so I said a few words to MRS-10 and then hurried back, hoping to call her husband back to ask. But on second thought, it's better to ask one of your own people to find out. So I sent a message home and asked my brothers at home to inquire about it. MRS-10 looked at her back and smiled coldly. When the girl from the Wen family came in, the Marquis was about to come back. This time, no matter what, we have to get things done. The 18th day of the first lunar month is the wedding of the Prince of Yongqing. Small in scale, but very grand. In the East Palace, everyone except the prince went to attend the wedding. The next day, when the royal family got married, the emperor smiled bitterly when he saw the princess of Yongqing County who looked a bit like Mr. He. But the queen was very satisfied with He. Because although he is average in appearance, he is very well behaved. Every action is calm and restrained, humble and courteous, and elegant in manner. The queen liked it, and as expected, the words of praise kept coming. Speak of her, generous, dignified, virtuous. Unlike some people, stingy, sharp, disorganized. Shui Ying has known Mr. He for a long time, but has never taken a fancy to her. I feel that if she were not the daughter of the He family, she would not even be a first-class girl. Unexpectedly, the queen was very dissatisfied with the favor given to her. Listening to it, I feel something is wrong. How come the queen is acting like this against herself? The crown princess had already heard it and whispered to her, "Be honest and don't get into trouble." At this moment, the crown princess also felt a little complicated. She was firmly towards her mother's family. Marrying with your natal family is to maximize your benefits. She has watched Shui Ying grow up. She is beautiful, has a hot temper, and is of the same mind as herself. Although sometimes things are rough, you are still young after all. Compared with he who is several years younger than her today, she still looks a little unsteady. You have to talk to her when you get back. As a result, the princess went back to talk to Shui Ying, which made Shui Ying very angry. He didn't dare to confront the crown princess, so he agreed one by one. He turned his back and got into trouble with his grandson, feeling aggrieved. Taijun is not used to her now. He didn't even wait for her to say anything. He just heard the beginning and threw up his sleeves and left. But the grandson was also angry. He kept nagging Chi Wu for a long time about his official affairs with the crown prince and his family affairs. Chi Wu saw Wen Yu and told her these complaints. Turning around, Wen Yu sent the letter to Zhang Pingting again, and taught her, although you haven't thought about it, you still have to make the preparations you should. What if in the future, right? You should be like this, like this, like that, like that. Zhang Pingting sneered, "Little girl, when will it be your turn to lecture me? This is really unreasonable. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart." Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 180. When Huan came back from wandering around and inquired about the marriage of Yongqing County Prince. Even his appearance and temperament are roughly known. Feeling more hopeful. However, although we got along well that day, the timing was terrible. No matter what, he will never arrange this before his wedding or for a period of time after his marriage. After discussing with Mr. Yuan, the two of them agreed, "Calm down and don't be anxious." Old Mrs. Wen is discussing Wen Yu's dowry with her two sons. She plans to give more. The Wen brothers are not obsessed with money now. They just nodded their heads no matter what their mother said. However, Wen Qian waited until Wen Feng went out and then said, "Mother, there is no need to make this matter public. You can just do it secretly." "What? Are you afraid that Mr. Yun will know? Old Mrs. Wen suddenly lost her temper. Wen Qian once made an oath, no matter what Wen said, he would not take advantage of her. But now, many people know him through Qi Wuxian. Everything he handled went smoothly. Seeing it, there is hope for promotion in advance. Although he was happy, the feeling of thorns in his flesh also made him uncomfortable. Mother, my son just doesn't want to get into trouble. Who dares to be meddlesome? The family's property is mainly earned for my mother. Use it however you want. Discuss it with you two brothers. It's because your mother values you. Does it matter whether the Yuan family knows or not? Do I care how her money is used? Old Mrs. Wen looked sarcastic. Mother, Wen Qian was particularly embarrassed. Look at her acting like this day by day, maybe she even despises me in her heart. Mother, how could it be? Wen Qian was helpless. Huh. I haven't eaten her, drank her, or counted on her yet. The old lady wanted to say more, but she looked at her son's face. Sighing, forget it. When you get older, you will be less annoying. Let's leave it like that. Wen Qian came out, stood outside the door and sighed. He and Yuan have similar personalities, they always think more and speak less. Once something is hidden and not communicated, it will be even harder to open up again. On this day, Mrs. Wen finally kept Wen Yu at home. What are you busy with every day? There was nothing to hide, so Wen Yu told the old lady about the shop. Old Mrs. Wen was dumbfounded. Before she even entered the house, her mother-in-law started handing over the family property. What do you say? Tisk tisk tisk, this girl's life is in jeopardy. However, to open a store, it is not just a matter of having a shop. How much money does it cost to clean up, hire people, spread goods, and manage things? After asking for a long time, Wen said nothing and still wanted to go out. The old lady thought for a long time and gave Wen Yu 5,000 taels of silver. Wen Yu sneered after receiving it, it's valuable, but it's different. Not long after the first lunar month, the Zhang family came to Beijing. Only Magistrate Zhang did not come, but everyone else came. The uncle of the Zhang family attaches great importance to marrying off his daughter, and the dowry for his daughter is also arranged neatly and meticulously. The Zhang family does not have a house in the capital, so they have long appointed a housekeeper to rent a house in the capital. The Zhang brothers have many brothers and friends in the capital. Everyone helps, and the yard is pretty cool. The old lady of the Wen family still feels a little guilty towards the Zhang family. Wen Qian wants to maintain the relationship more. So, at the critical moment, the Wen family also came to show their sincerity and sent people to help early in the morning. Now, the house is clean and tidy inside and outside, and everything used is new. Even the firewood, rice, oil, and salt for the kitchen are all ready. Wen Feng took his eldest son with him and went to the city gate to pick him up. Mrs. Zhang heard about it as soon as she entered the house, and was quite moved. The Wen family is growing rapidly and prospering, but they still don't forget their old friends and are so considerate in every aspect. They are really a decent family. I guess Wen Yu was so angry that he vomited blood when he heard this. After 2 days of good rest, the head of the Wen family came to visit with his family. Zhang Zhongqing has lost a lot of weight, and her round face has grown longer. Zhang Mocking and Zhang Jinking were very affectionate when they saw Wen Yu and pulled her to talk non-stop. Wen Jiao and others were also happy to see acquaintances. There is only Wen Huan, who is airy, neither close nor distant, and has a good style. It was busy for a long time before Wen Yu got a chance to talk to Zhang Zhongqing alone. Brother Zhongqing, are you okay? Wen Yu looked at Zhang Zhongqing. He was running all the way. He even had a green beard. How could he be so old? Feeling funny and sad at the same time. I'm fine, Sister Au, you've lost weight. I was just about to say that you have lost weight too, you have become an adult all of a sudden. Zhang Jiangqing's smile is not as innocent and sunny as before, but still warm. Sister Au, are you still used to being in the capital? Everything is fine. I have been running a shop recently and have been busy all day long, so I have lost a lot of weight. But I'm in good spirits. Yes. Brother Zhangqing, there's something I want to tell you. Say it. That's it, I found an opportunity for you. Look. When you took out something and handed it to him. Zhang Zhangqing took it and took a look. He was surprised and frowned slightly. Where are you going, the Qi family? I got it through young Master Qi Wu, but I don't know much about the details. Brother Zhangqing, don't rush to agree or refuse. I haven't said anything to anyone about this matter. I just want you to think for yourself. Understand and then make a decision. You do this to mean. Brother Zhangqing, let me tell the truth, although this is an opportunity I found for you, it is out of my selfishness. Zhang Zhangqing was a little surprised again and looked at Wen Yu. I have a lot to do, and most of my wishes have not been completed yet. I need someone who can tell me my heart without any scruples. You are this person. But this is unfair to you. You, this position, Zhang Zhangqing shook the paper, even if you do it out of your own interests, for everyone, you have paid a very good condition first. I don't know how many people will look forward to it. But you are not someone else. You are my good brother and good friend. Although this opportunity is good, if it is not what you want in your heart, I will not advise you to stay. Zhang Zhangqing was at a loss and couldn't make a decision for the moment. Go back and think about it. If you have any questions, you can ask me. We can also discuss it. Okay. It's just, when you talk about having unfinished things on your mind, there is always a sense of heaviness. Can you tell me where it comes from? Maybe I will say it in the future, but right now, I don't know what to say. If you have something to say to others, I'm afraid you are the best listener. I know, always know. The adults were chatting happily, and a few girls slipped out. Wen Huan saw Zhang Zhangqing talking to Wen Yu at a glance, and Zhang Zhangqing also put a piece of paper away. Yo, what are they two talking about? Wen Jiao looked at it and sneered, what does it have to do with you? Put away your little thoughts. The warmth is so heartwarming, what do I have on my mind? Wen Jiao looked her up and down, then turned away. Gentle and cheerful, just wait for me. Zhang Jingqing ran over, pulled Wen Yu and asked Yanzu. Zuzu has been very busy recently. When you take a break, I will take you to see her. Mocking, just in time, I have something to tell you. Zhang Jingqing refused, Sister Yu, you also have to talk to me alone. Okay, let me tell you alone, I have a lot of good things for you. When you first greeted Zhang Mocking politely, and then said, I met the sister-in-law of the Qi family once at the Kui family. She was confused. I haven't met the old lady of the Qi family yet. I heard that she has a very good reputation. Old lady, but MRSG seems to have a problem with her. Our marriage was decided by my wife herself. At home, I also received some criticism. Zhang Mocking listened very carefully. Wulang said that the fourth brother is very understanding. He can stand up in front of his aunt. So, you don't have to worry about anything. Zhang Mocking nodded, my family said that Silang often comes to clean up the yard. He has also been here in the past 2 days and has given a lot of things. My father likes him very much and says that he is safe in his work. Well, I have a lot of things on my hands right now and I'm very busy. If there's anything I can do to help, you're welcome. When you settle down, there will be a lot of things that I need your help with. After saying a few words briefly, MRS Wen was very excited when she returned to the house and was telling MRS Zhang that she was going to be the concubine. MRS Zhang was very happy after hearing this. I have met Zhang Niang, but not many times. Later when we arrived in Zhangzhou, she had already moved away with her grandfather and father. Zhang Mocking told Wen Yu, at that time, I was at Songshan College with my father, so I didn't have a deep impression. Zhang Zhongqing said happily, I remember some. When everything settles down, find a chance to see her. But Mrs. Wen said, Ayu, have you heard that the fifth brother of the Song family is now Uncle Zongqin? What uncle? I don't know, Wen Yu was surprised. Old Mrs. Wen laughed, this and this Lao Wu, he is so good. All of a sudden, he has a title. Mrs. Zhang also laughed, it's indeed good. Doing his business with a reputation. There are many benefits. Everyone laughed.